ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 7 चैप्टर वर्स 7। यदि दास्यसि मे कामान् वरांस्त्वं वरदर्शभ कामानां हृद्यसम् असममु असमरोहम् भवतस्तु वृणेवरम्। My Lord, bestow the givers of benediction. If you at all want to bestow desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desire. Hmm. Kamanam hridi asamroham bhavataha. Kamanam hridi asamroham. Let there be no growth of desires for material happiness, core of my heart. So let there be no material desire. So this is the similar prayer in the fifth canto chapter 18, verse 8. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jastejase Ajiravirbhava Nakavajatam Strakarmashayan Randhaya Randhaya Mograsagrasom Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuvishtam Shram. We can add this prayer also. Yadi dasyasi me kaman varamstvam varadarshabha kamanam hridi asamroham bhavatastu vrine. I pray for this benediction from you. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us how to pray for benedictions from the Lord. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani. Janmani ishware bhavata bhakti rahiti. Na dhanam, no, not wanting wealth. Na janam, not wanting followers. Na sundarim, nor a beautiful wife. All, for these are all materialistic desires. But if I have to ask you for any benediction, I pray that in whatever forms of life I may take my birth, Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatat Bhakti Rahituki Bhakti. Under any circumstances, I will not be bereft of your Ahituki Bhakti, transcendental devotion. Devotees are always on the positive platform, in contrast to the Mayavadis who want to make everything impersonal or void. One cannot remain void. Rather, one must possess something. Therefore, the devotee on the positive side wants to possess something, and this possession is very nicely described by Prahlad Maharaj, who says, if I must take some benediction, I pray that within the core of my heart there may be no material desire, not no desire. So Prabhupada is saying the desire to serve Supreme Lord is not at all material. So it's not that we should become devoid of all desires. We should not have material desires. And we've discussed this before also. Desire is the cause we are stuck here, and desire will be the cause of our uh, achieving perfection. And this desire is very, very important. There are two types of bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti and Raganuga bhakti. In Vaidhi bhakti, we simply follow rules. Okay, somebody is saying do this. Okay, do. That is Vaidhi bhakti. But in bhakti, there is desire. We develop desire. Mm. So that's very, very important that we have to develop desire. How does one develop desire? How does one develop desire? Anybody?
Prabhuji, by associating with the devotees who have desires and
Yeah.
serving them.
By associating devotees, by serving exalted Vaishnavas. and most importantly, by regular Shravanam. We have to do regular Shravanam, right? And we have to actually hear from those devotees who have that desire, and that desire has to get transferred to our heart. And unless this desire, spiritual desires develop, then material desires will continue, because the heart has to have desires. It cannot become white. There has to be desires in the heart. Yeah, but the desires, if there are no spiritual desires, then we will have material desires. If you don't desire to go to Goloka, you will desire to go to America. If you don't desire to dress Adha and Krishna in Goloka, you will want to dress yourself. If you don't desire to, offer them the best, you will try to offer yourself the best. Now, if it is Vaidhi, then it is okay, but it is not as powerful as Raganuga. Just Vaidhi means just okay, I'm following rules and regulations, so I have to offer something to Krishna, okay, I offer. Not with any kind of attachment, not with any kind of some kind of desire to serve him. So that is the whole attempt of preaching, the whole attempt of preaching movement, the whole attempt of reading books is to actually develop this desire. Which is why also as part of preaching, we sometimes try to talk about Goloka, Vaikuntha, Krishna, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's love for his devotees. We speak about all that so that it might develop some desire. When we hear that Gopakumara, Lord embraced him and said, like, where have you been all this time? Then, Acharya say that, this is also something that Krishna is going to tell all of us when we go back. Now that should develop a desire. Oh, wow. Can I also be receptive of this statement from Krishna? I want to go there. Mm, Krishna has a headache. Oh, how can I help? How can I serve? I can't tolerate hearing that Krishna has a headache. Develop desire to go there. So, so by Shravanam, that is why his quality Shravanam is very, very important. Which is why I keep saying that those devotees who have not systematically read Bhagavatam and come to the 10th canto, please read Krishna book every day. Otherwise, you're just losing time waiting for, for you to complete 9 cantos to come to the 10th canto. And of course, 10th canto reading first time, second time, third time, fourth time will not be of much use, as in we just reading, reading, reading. Multiple times we have to read actually to go into the mood of actually to understand 10th canto. 10th canto is like pointers. It's just like hyperlinks. Meaning it's not everything. It's just one statement, and then our acharyas have written one whole books behind, single statements like that. It's just ever expanding. 10th canto is ever expanding. So there's no end to actually understanding Krishna's pastimes. Each and every acharya has given their own perspective of their various leelas, etc., etc. It's just infinite. Just keep going on, and that's the rest of our devotional life. Is to dive deep into 10th canto. Mm. Then dive deep into 10th canto, and then first it will be all 89 chapters. Then after that it will be up to 39 chapters. Mm. So 39 chapters is the Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And then from chapter 40 he goes out to Mathura. Then 11 chapters in of Mathura Lila, and then remaining 39 chapters of Dwaraka Lila. And then again it will get even more narrowed down like this. Mm. So, and only when we hear, when we hear these things, sometimes I keep wondering, saying that, Krishna Loka is so amazing. Krishna is so amazing. Radharani is so amazing. Sometimes I wonder, saying that why don't all devotees develop some kind of anchoring? Mm. Because people don't read, people don't hear. So if you do this systematically, within very short span, very short span of time, compared to the eternal journey we have been going through, very short span of time. Focus for I mean, at least my life's experience has been 4 or 5 years of proper study of Bhagavatam will just trigger those desires. Of course, like I told so many devotees saying that when I was, in my early stage days of my devotion, even now I'm in early stage, but pre-early stage or early stage, I didn't have anybody who could help me with, this kind of third understanding of Bhagavatam or, helping me to go deep. Now, see, we're already in the seventh canto. Very soon we'll reach 10th canto by Krishna's mercy, right? And some of our devotees doing the evening reading, they're already in the 10th canto. And this is actually big mercy. If after this Shravanam still your, some kind of, your heart doesn't change, then you have to really reflect in what's going on. Because Bhagavatam has been written for this. Sadyo hrudyavarudyate trikritibi shushubis tatkshanat. In the Mangalacharan, Vyasadeva is saying Sadyo means immediately. Sadyo hrudi avarudyate. The Lord comes and sits in our heart. Shushushubis by Shravanam tatkshanat, immediately, again immediately. Immediately he'll come and enter our hearts. This is Bhagavatam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Muraho Rasika Vibhavukaha. So Bhagavatam is empowered mm, to bring Krishna into our heart, which means that we will start developing spiritual desire. So don't be satisfied reading Bhagavad Gita and then I've read all small books. I've read Bhagavad Gita. Okay, fine, but what next? What next? When are we going to start Bhagavad? When are we going to understand Bhagavatam? And I'm saying these classes are not a replacement. If at all somebody wants to use these recordings, they should use them in conjunction with their own reading. So they should read first a verse or a few verses, then they can hear. So they would have developed some understanding when they read, and when they hear, they'll possibly develop a wider understanding, and then they will understand. Okay, now this is how I have to read. For example, we would have just read this saying that your Lord, okay, your Lord, let there be no material desires, and then gone. We would have finished. But that this desire is so important is something that we need to know, right? And Prabhupada just briefly mentions here, one line he mentions, right here. There to serve the Lord is not at all material. So this is so important, but that desire is important, is required, is something that is important. And then if you have material desires, then no space for spiritual desires. Similarly, if you have spiritual desires, then there will be no space for material desires, and then that means liberation. So it's very, very important. We have to develop spiritual desires, and it is natural process. It's not some artificial process. It's not like you say, okay, now I'm going to sit and then now I'm going to start thinking about spiritual desires. It doesn't work that way. It has to be spontaneous. It has to be natural. When you're hearing, and of course, when by we also try to create opportunities for service, etc., etc., so that people, the devotees can develop spiritual desire. But Shravanam is key. In the process of Shravanam, you should develop desire. If you already developed a spiritual desire, very, very good, very fortunate you are. Others who have not developed any spiritual desire should try to develop spiritual desire. And this desire should keep growing, should become stronger and stronger and stronger, more intense, more intense, more intense, more deeper, more deeper, more specific, more specific. Mm. And that's how we're going to make progress. Any questions anybody has on this? Because it's an important topic. इंद्रियाणि मन प्राण आत्मा धर्मो धृतिर्मतिः श्री श्रीस् तेजस्मृति सत्यम यश्च नश्यन्ति जन्मना. Oh my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, this is what our problem is. Sense of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are everything is destroyed. Basically, single verse Prahlad Maharaj is saying because of our lusty desires, everything is destroyed. Our whole existence is destroyed. Kamam Hrudrogam. It's a disease of the heart. Materialistic life, kamam, means that one is afflicted by a formidable disease called lusty desire. I want to enjoy this, I want to enjoy that, I want to do that, I want to do this. It's a Hridrogam. Remember this. Hridrogam. It's a disease. We have a disease. Liberation means freedom from lusty desires. Because it is only due to such desires that one must accept repeated birth. And it's very difficult to just get rid of this. Some devotees are fortunate to get rid of these desires. Desires. But if you are struggling, and different devotees will be stuck with different things. Hmm. And Prabhupada is saying, as long as one's lusty desires are unfulfilled, one must take birth again and again to fulfill them. Because of material desires, therefore, one performs various types of activities and receives various types of bodies with which to try to fulfill desires that are never satisfied. Hmm. So this is never-ending process. We have been doing this for time immemorial, and it's still not come to an end. So we have to replace, we have to change the type of, we have to infuse spiritual desire, and then there will be no place left for lusty desire, and it will get thrown out. So Prabhupada is saying the only remedy is to take devotional service, take to devotional service, which begins when one is free from all material desires. But then Prabhupada is saying the remedy is devotional service, but which starts when one is free from all material desires. But what is the remedy? The remedy is to even follow the initial sadhanas of devotion, which itself includes Shravanam Kirtanam, which will result in removing all material desires. Anya Bilashita Shunyam means material desires means zero. Spiritual soul has spiritual activities and spiritual desires. What is the spiritual desire as described by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatat Bhakti Rahiti Kitari. This is a desire. Unalloyed devotion, pure devotion, is the only spiritual desire. To fulfill this spiritual desire, however, one must be free from all material desires. Desirelessness means freedom from material desires. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Vilashita Shunyam. As soon as one has material desires, one loses his spiritual identity. But this process of bhakti given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so powerful that even if we have material desires, if we start the process and follow it properly, then spiritual desire also enters. And then it nudges out material desire, pushes it out. So even if we have kama, by accepting the process of devotion, the kama is thrown out. Hmm. And when one has material desires, then all the paraphernalia of one's life, everything are deviated from one's original Krishna consciousness. As soon as one has material desires, one cannot use his senses, intelligence, mind, and so on. The Supreme Lord. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Krishna is saying manmana. But the mind is totally absorbed in material things. Hmm. And the living entity must be living always existing with desires. These should be purified so that one can desire spiritually and be spiritually ambitious. Material content. In every living entity, these propensities exist because he is a living entity. Materially contaminated, however, one is put into the hands of material misery. One wants to stop repeated birth and death, one must take it. Sarva upadi vinir muktam. Yesterday we discussed this. Give up all upadi, all designations. Rishikena, Rishikena, Sevan. Engage all your senses, serving the master of senses. And the spirit soul renders service unto the supreme. There are two side effects. One is freed from all material designation. Simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, one senses are purified. So it's not the other way around. It's not that bhakti is dependent on this upadhi, being free from upadhi. We engage in devotion, but if we engage properly, then there are two side effects. If we don't engage properly, then Mishra Bhakti, then those things will also continue. But if we offer Shuddha Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, then Sarva Upadhi will be gone and there will be Nirmalam, will be again spiritual desire. विमुञ्चति यथा कामान् मानवो मनसि स्थितान् तर्ह्येव पुण्डरीकाक्ष भगवत्वात्वाय कल्पते. My Lord, when a human being is able to give up all the material desires in his mind, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. Punder lotus-eyed Lord. Atheistic men sometimes criticize a devotee by saying, if you do not want to take any benediction from the Lord, and if the servant of the Lord is as opulent as the Lord himself, why do you ask for benediction of being engaged as the Lord's servant? Hmm. If you do not want to take any benediction, why are you asking this benediction? Becoming as good as Supreme Personality of Godhead does not mean becoming one with Him or equal to Him. Although in the spiritual world, the servant is equally as opulent as the master. Very, very important. Servant of the Lord is engaged in the service of the Lord as a servant, friend, father, mother, or conjugal lover, all of whom are equally as opulent as the Lord. Actually, we will be as opulent as the Lord, but that opulence is not of consideration for us, not important for us. But really, what is important for us is being engaged in Lord, sir. And yesterday, like we discussed, Lord can make us also opulent if we are actually single-pointedly engaged in Lord's service. The master and servant are different yet equal in opulence. Achintya bheda bheda. Anyway, so the point here Prahlad is making, if you give up material desires, you might have material desires for wealth, opulence, etc. If you give those up, then you will achieve inexhaustible wealth and opulence, which you don't care for that time. Like Dhruva. He didn't care for it. First, he wanted it. He wanted material desires. He came to Krishna, but when Krishna gave, present, became visible to his eyes, he said, "Varam nayache." I don't want anything. That is the beauty of devotion, actually. When we develop these spiritual desires, then we realize that these material desires are tucha, low class, insignificant. Because that spiritual desires are so, just thinking about it, just imagine. Saying, just imagine that one day you will be standing, seeing Radha and Krishna in Goloka. I mean, that just that one thought is enough to give up everything. Because that's something that is unimaginable. Nobody, I mean, it's so impossible to achieve. Practically impossible to achieve. Why practically impossible? Even other Sampradaya devotees cannot achieve this. Being in front of Radha and Krishna. They don't accept Radha. So just this one thing, it might just seem like an ordinary statement, standing in front of Radha and Krishna, what big. It is the biggest deal. One if one can understand the value of this, then they'll be ready to give up anything. And the reasons are not, oh, okay, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Krishna is the, mm, you know, all powerful. No, none of these are the reasons. The only reason is because Radha and Krishna love us and we love them. That's all. That is the reason. And that love is can't be replaced or can't be. Uh, I mean, which is why Krishna even tells the gopis saying that I can't reciprocate with your love. I mean, your love is so exalted that Krishna fails. Can't Krishna do anything and everything? He can do anything and everything, but he can't reciprocate the love of the gopi. So just imagine how exalted that love is. Mm. And to be able to be there and serve in that mood, what more will somebody want? Like I said, just the description of Krishna and Radharani is beauty. Mm. It can't be imagined. How much ever poets, Vaishnava poets describe Radha and Krishna's beauty, it cannot be imagined. It is beyond imagination. It's beyond our ability to even think what it is. We get a glimpse of it when we see the deities, but that's just a glimpse because first of all, we don't have transcendental eyes, and they're still incarnation of the Lord. And then when we, of course, when devotees reach stage of perfection, Radha and Krishna manifest themselves in the form that the devotees want to see them. And then they vanish, and then devotees put into. But just that, wanting to be, there with them, serving all the time, is is something that we should be ready to give up anything for that. And but that desire will come only when we hear, only when we hear about their form, qualities, pastimes, then that desire develops. So those who have not heard properly might still be attached and opinion. Which is why for us the most critical processes are chanting Hare Krishna and hearing about spiritual world, Radha, Krishna. Mm. So one question: is there anybody here who have sat and read anything connected to devotion continuously for like 4 hours, 5 hours? Anybody who's been able to do that? 4 5 hours at a stretch. Mm. You should target to do that first. You'll understand what I'm speaking. Because right now maybe my words are not maybe not understandable because I'm not even completely revealing what I want to say, obviously. But that has to happen. I mean, I'm saying the point I'm making is that you have to do that kind of quality shavanam when your heart starts beating faster. Nowadays, our heart beats. Current situation is our heart will beat faster for. Oh, I have to go somewhere next week. I'm going out of station, or I'm going here. I'm going there. Okay, maybe I'm going to a yatra. Okay, fine. But these are all still uh, not same as sitting and reading for 4 5 hours together. Mm. So when we are able to do that, only then we can understand, saying that what does it mean to get impacted by Shravanam. Hmm. If you read 15 minutes a day, it's going to help. I think it's going to help. You're getting knowledge. Right? But when you read Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita for a long time, continuously, will directly have an impact. I experienced this actually years back before my heart became very fixed on exiting my job. Don't do this. So if you are attached to your material life, don't do this. Don't read 4 5 hours a day. Then it will seriously create. It has serious impact. Bhagavatam regularly reading somebody. If somebody is able to do 4 5 hours, I used to sit at work and read. That was my work in office. Rest of my work, I used to just finish it off in 4 5 hours. Then another 4 hours in the day, I used to just sit, eat. And that is required. Which is why I keep telling devotees saying that sometime you have to reduce your material duty. You have to reach a stage where you can end your material duties because otherwise, how are you going to get time? We're just running around here, there, here, there, here, there. Rest of life is like not easy. And everything is responsibility we have taken. We have to do it also properly. Mm. But those who are not stuck, then you have an opportunity. Those who are stuck but who have gone past the age to get stuck, you also have an opportunity. Those in the middle, hopeless, helpless right now, okay, just keep playing. But let me just quickly get out. But otherwise, these desires are not going to develop. Mm. Occasional hearing also is powerful. When you hear from some exalted souls and they speak something, suddenly, seed of desire enters your heart. Which is why we also have to hear from pure devotees who reached, made significant advancement in their spiritual life. Lavamatra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Lavamatra, even small, little, maybe 5 minutes association, hearing from them, something they say might just hit our heart. And I can keep going on speaking for hours with no effect on anybody. Not, we don't have that. Those devotees are so exalted that they can create that. I've had experience from devotees. I have heard something and then just get stuck in my mind, and then they go, "Oh my God, how can I reach there? How can I do that?" So these desires again, saying we are stuck in material desires, but we should get stuck with spiritual desires, and then these material desires will just vanish. Mm. If there's anything connected to desires, otherwise I'll stop here. Okay, I'll stop. Okay, any realizations, any questions, comments? Okay, friends, then we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Shakti Dhanam. Namo Namah. Vrindi ki jai. Hare Krishna.